Last year, with the majestic Rockies as a backdrop, Kevin Harvick's ascent to the top was escalated by his dominance at Pikes Peak International Raceway. The win vaulted him to the Winston West Championship and on to title aspirations in the Craftsman Truck Series. Who will reach the summit next? Well, that, of course, is a good question. After all, this is racing. But we have two possibilities that remind us a lot of Kevin Harvick. What about Brandon Ash? Already this year, 2 top 5s. He hasn't won a race yet, but he's second in points. And what about Austin Cameron? He sat on the pole, also 2 top 5s, and he was last year's Rookie of the Year. Cameron, another great possibility. But old Mike Chase, yes, he's older, he's wiser, he is the points leader, and he's finished 6th or better every time out this year. He's going to try to reach the summit this year and leave these young guys stumbling around in the foothills.
California Speedway played host to the most recent episode of the Winston West saga amidst the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. The spotlight was stolen that day by the Winston Cup stars, but not before things really got hot. Some played it cool, took their points, and rode off into the sunset, while for others, the race didn't exactly go according to the script. The sequel opens today at Pikes Peak International Raceway. This week's scripts begins with 2 drivers who know how to win and win from the front row. Series regular Sean Woodside, he's ready to show his strength and consistency, but it's a visitor from yet another series. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series regular Mike Wallace captured his 2nd Bud Pole of the season. Both Mike and Sean are looking to be the series' first repeat winner in the 1999 season.
Our ESPN2 cameras focus on the NASCAR Winston West Tour from Pikes Peak International Raceway. It's round number 5. It's the King Soopers 150. Taking a look at the championship points chase, Mike Chase is the guy they're all after. Brandon Ash is behind by 32. Sean Woodside in 3rd is the only member of that top 10 to score a victory in the first 4 rounds of the 14 races that make up the 1999 NASCAR Winston West Tour. Hello again, everybody. I'm Marty Reed alongside with Jeremy Dale, and we've touched on it a little bit here. We're seeing Winston Cup regulars, 2 of them come down and win in a Winston West race. A NASCAR Craftsman Truck regular by the name of Mike Wallace has won. He's got his 2nd pole today. What's going on here? Some new life in this series.
Well, there have been some interlopers, no question about it, but when you talk to the Winston West drivers, they love it. They love it that these guys have come in, they've raised the bar, not just from a driving standpoint, but the teams as well. And it's really, shot a lot of life into this championship. Kevin Harvick is a perfect example. He won this race last year. He won the championship last year. And in 1999, he's a contender in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Well, remember, about 10 years ago, it was Derek Cope and Chad Little who used the Winston West Series to move on to bigger and better things. Kevin Harvick has now done it. Who will it be this year? Well, we'll find out as we take another step in that ladder. We come back. We'll set the starting field and go racing. The King Soopers 150.
Today's King Soopers 150 is being brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people. And by Circuit City. Answers in every department. Low prices all over the store. Cars have just pulled out onto the racetrack here, the 1-mile oval here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. And let's take a look at our starting grid. It's evenly balanced. 8 Chevys, 7 Fords in the top 15. Mike Wallace, his 2nd pole here in the Winston West Tour. Sean Woodside in a backup car. We'll tell you more on that in a bit. Butch Gilliland and Mike Chase, the points leader in row number 2. And then row 3, it's Brandon Ash and Austin Cameron.
And row 4, number 77, Joe Bean. Starting 8th, Eric Norris, number 32 in the Ford Taurus. Starting 9th, Ross Thompson. Starting 10th is Jerry Kane. He'll be starting at the back of the grid. We'll have more on that in a moment. Starting 11th, a name familiar to BGN fans, Bobby Goddard.
So as you take a look at the positions 16 through 30, a couple of names that may jump out at you. Scott Gaylord, a former Craftsman Truck Series driver. Rob Morgan, currently in the Truck Series. Brendan Gaughan was the pole sitter here last year. He starts 23rd this time around. And Jerry Glanville starting 26th. And then the final two making up the 32-car field, Al Edgerly and Larry Carnes. So as they make their way around in the second of 3 pace laps, let's get more on the track here at the Pikes Peak International Raceway. It's a 1-mile oval. The front stretch and the back stretch equal at 1,510 feet, but there's a lot more banking in that front stretch of 7 degrees and 10 degrees in the corner. In fact, there's a unique characteristic about this track.
Well, what makes this track very interesting, it's shaped like a D. So pretty much from the time you turn in at turn 3 until the exit of 2, that car is turning, and that has the potential to be very hard on right side tires.
Take a look at our race analysis. We will be going 150 miles, 150 laps, over $260,000. Our pit fuel window between laps 65 and 75. So it is going to play a part in today's race. And this is the first time we've run this event at this distance. So all records will be first time here. Now, there is the 71 car. That is Jerry Kane, and he's going to be going to the back. And to get more on why he's going to be moving backward in the field, let's go down pit lane and Dave Burns.
Marty, this is his 4th start in 1999, but it's in a car that looks a lot like Austin Cameron's. That's because it's Cameron's backup car. He wrecked in practice, and he had to borrow one from Cameron, but he actually rented it. He will race it, and he will race it hard. It has a brand new motor in it, and it finished 2nd at Vegas earlier this year. But they do want it back. They have to go tire testing in 4 days, and it's their primary backup car. Amy East.
We talked about earlier Sean Woodside in the number 16. He is also in a backup car. Yesterday in practice, he had a last-minute crash right at the end of practice, got up in the loose stuff, and crashed his primary car. So prior to qualifying, he had no laps in this car, went out and put it on the front row. They took a lot of stuff off of that crashed car and put it onto this one, so he's ready to race and is going to be fast, no doubt about it.
A great story for that team. A bad story right now for Rob Morgan. The hood is up. We saw blue smoke coming out as he pulled into the pit lane after this last lap, and it looks like that could be terminal.
It could be a problem. It was smoking very heavily on that first pace lap, pretty much coming out of turn 2 all the way down into 3 and back into pit lane.
Now the temperature a bit on the cool side here at Pikes Peak International Raceway, and the wind was very brisk earlier today, upwards of 30 miles an hour. It has died down a little bit at this point, but if it picks back up, it will play a factor in today's race. Also, remember that we are well over a mile high in the sky at 5,337 feet. Now, let's also talk about the R.J. Reynolds bonus. After 5 of 14 races, $50,000 gets spread amongst the top 15 in the points. You also get another additional $50,000 at the end of the second leg, and of course the $300,000 total at the end of the year. 10 grand goes to the points leader today, and right now that would be Mike Chase. Now the lights are still on the pace truck, and I have a feeling we're starting our 4th pace lap. This must be because temperatures are not up in those cars yet.
Well, here is the 1 lap to go, so the lights will go out on the truck.
Now you see that young gentleman in the white shirt. He is Ryan Dethridge, a sophomore at Columbine High School, of course, Littleton, Colorado, just north of us here. And he was unfortunately in the cafeteria the day of the tragic shooting. And race officials said, hey, why don't you come down, Ryan, represent Columbine, you be the honorary starter. He is going to wave the green flag, and it gives us all a pause to remember all those fine people and to realize just how precious this gift of life really is. So we're getting ready to go racing. Lights are out on the pace truck. Ryan will be waving the flag for everyone, not just at Columbine, but especially for everyone there. And watch this start, because this is going to be interesting. Mike Wallace, with all of his truck experience, also from the Winston Cup days that he's been there, and all these young guys, they're trying to prove that they're better than those guys as we come out of turn number 4. The mountain at Pikes Peak is 14,110 feet high, and 32 cars are going to try and scale this 1-mile layout here as we are ready to go green. Round 5 is underway. Three abreast through turn number 1. Everybody made it so far.
And Mike Wallace gets a good jump on the start. Look at that, about 4 car lengths lead for Mike Wallace going into turn 3.
That's Butch Gilliland in number 1. He's got the low side. Holds on to the 4th position right now. And boy, Wallace is going to lead lap 1 substantially. Sean Woodside will be credited with second place, and then Mike Chase in third. The real battle right now is for fourth between Brandon Ash.
And this is a great racetrack for side-by-side racing, and we're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing. Not a big problem here to run side-by-side. Look at how wide this racetrack is. Just a beautiful facility.
Wait a minute. The 26 is pulling into the pit lane. Mike Wallace, after leading the first lap, is coming into pit lane, and pit lane speed's 55, and I'm wondering if he may have been braking. So the engine wear Ford is coming in, and I don't have an idea why. Did he jump the start? No, they've got a problem.
No, Hood's going up. Hood is going up on Mike Wallace's car. So Sean Woodside now leads this race. And let's go down to Dave Burns.
Marty, the motor is off. I talked with Tim Cahuth yesterday and asked them why they were so good here, why they got the pole. And he said it was the motor, a strong motor. And unfortunately, right now they've turned it out. They've gone to the left front side, and it looks like they're reaching deep in there. He's got trouble.
So a tough break for Mike Wallace, as this was the second pole of the year, and he also led early at Phoenix. But right now, it's Sean Woodside who has assumed the lead at the point, and there he is in the Napa Chevrolet, moving out to about a 5-car length lead over Mike Chase, Butch Gilliland, Brandon Ash, and Cameron.
And these are the players in the championship. These are the guys that will be there for the year. And we understand Mike Wallace has left the pit lane. So Mike Wallace back on the racetrack, but he has gone down a couple of laps.
Right now, the best battle on the racetrack is for third, as we are completing lap number 5 here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. 145 to go. Stay with us, a lot more right after this.
Is that Wallace?
Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, you're looking at the number 85 of Kevin Richards moving his way back out on the racetrack. While we were in a commercial, he managed to spin around, made contact with M.K. Kanky. Kanky suffered a right front flat. He had to come in as well. Let's go back, take another look.
This is in turn 3, and they get together. We mentioned how this racetrack was so good for side-by-side racing, and when you have lots of side-by-side racing, that's what you're going to get. And here comes the tire off the 8 car. This is now coming down into pit lane.
What's left of it?
Well, what's left of it? It's not much good now.
So both cars have lost 1 lap, as that's what's left of the tire, as it's pretty much seen its better day.
Well, the 85 car still in the pit lane, so the 85 car dropping well down.
Yeah, he's now 3 laps off the pace, being set by Sean Woodside, who last led at Tucson. Guess which race Woodside won? Tucson.
I'm going to guess Tucson.
Very good. And you're quick on the uptake today. Second place is Butch Gilliland. Then it is Mike Chase in third, just to keep you abreast of everything. And Brandon Ash following Austin Cameron in a battle for fourth.
And Amy mentioned about Sean Woodside and how he spun in practice, and this is their spare car. And Woodside really felt awful and really wanted to go out for this team. And this is a Napa race. There's Wallace there, now working his way back through the field. And let's go down to Dave. We'll get back to this Woodside thing.
Yeah, the best motor in the world, guys, is worthless if what your right foot is telling it never gets through. The throttle linkage had become severed. They went in under the hood, hooked it back together, and now Mike Wallace is 2 laps down and powering through the field.
Well, let's update you, because according to our scoring, Dave, they're only showing it. Yes, they are now showing him 2 laps down. You're right on target. So we'll just keep Mr. Burns on the payroll.
Anyway, we're talking about Sean Woodside, who's a great kid and has done a great job. It really felt awful that he had to go to that spare car. And boy, the crew was sure, making fun of him and poking at him yesterday. But he is paying them back. He's out front leading this race. And it is a Napa weekend here. A lot of Napa people on the property. So he really wants to do a good job for his team and for his sponsor.
Yeah, he said he definitely felt the extra pressure that went with this new sponsored ride, but boy, he is definitely turning in a performance right now after winning at Tucson and now leading here. Let's go back down to Dave Burns. Dave?
Well, Marty, so many things are new for Sean Woodside this year. New team and crew chief, a Laughlin drop snout chassis versus the Hopkins he used to run, a Chevrolet versus a Pontiac, and he's even running Goodyear instead of a Hoosiers last year. So Woodside is not surprised that it's taking a few races to get things together, and today he looks pretty stout.
He has opened up a nice little margin over second place right now as these guys continue to motor around the course. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see that we have 136 laps yet to go. And now seeing the battle move a little bit further back, there is Mike Chase currently in third. He's about 1.3 seconds behind our race leader, and the 12 of Austin Cameron right behind him.
Now Woodside beginning to roll into some traffic. Here he is working his way through traffic. So they've now caught the back markers coming through. And we'll see if he can maintain this pace and maintain this lead through the traffic.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's allowed Gilliland to close. He was within 0.4 of a second, and he's getting even closer right now. So the traffic definitely forced a different line for Sean Woodside that his Monte Carlo did not really appreciate. Here comes a good battle between Austin Cameron and the 12, and Butch Gilliland, and Cameron's got the low side. Can't make the pass stick. Gilliland stays in the position. Take a look at the speeds after lap 16. Woodside at over 116 mile an hour average.
Definitely affected by those lap cars. More lap traffic now into turn 4. And look at these cars having to go very high. And this is an opportunity here for the 12 car.
And that was Wayne Jacks that everybody is getting around in the number 6, putting him a lap down. Remember, in this race last year, Kevin Harvick, the winner, lapped everybody but that number 12, Austin Cameron, who was in second place. So you can see a lot of passing going on by the race leader.
And a lot of these guys admitted that last year, a big reason for Harvick's success was green flag pit stops. And that was really, more than anything else, the reason that Harvick lapped everyone up to second place last year here at Pikes Peak.
And one of the teams, Steve Portengay, went out and got some help from the NASCAR Craftsman truck team of Jay Sauter with his pit stops for that very reason. So we'll find out if that pays dividends for his team. Meanwhile, look at Butch Gilliland. He has closed in even tighter. There is first, second, and third as they are making their way around another lap vehicle. And we complete lap number 20. We've got 130 to go. And right now, looks like Woodside's opened it back up to about 3 car lengths. Gilliland doesn't seem to be able to stay down on the low side. Here comes Cameron, but will that traffic be in the way? As we move a little bit further back, that's the 92 making a move around for position. That's Ross Thompson trying to get around Brandon Ash.
And I believe Cameron took that second spot. Cameron made the move into turn 3. So now Cameron up into the second position. Let's see if he can chase down Woodside.
Boy, Gilliland has dropped off this pace very quickly after being passed by Austin Cameron. I don't see any smoke or anything, but he has lost about 12, 14 car lengths in 1 lap.
The best way to describe a Winston West car is this is essentially a Winston Cup car with a Craftsman truck motor.
Take a look at the comparison between Woodside and Cameron. Now let's go back and show you that pass for second place that we did not get to see when it initially happened. Take a look. Gilliland was pushing up.
This is coming off turn 2 down the back straightaway. Cameron does a nice job to get alongside and makes the move into turn 3. Boy, Butch didn't push him too hard, though, for that position.
Well, and Gilliland has fallen back even further off the pace. He's a full 1.4 seconds behind the race leader. Maybe he's pacing, maybe he's got a problem. We'll find out when we come back to the King Soopers 150. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, round 5 of the NASCAR Winston West Series. You're looking at our current race leader, Sean Woodside, as he has opened up about a half-second lead over Austin Cameron. There is Cameron right behind him, and further back is the number 1. You just got a glimpse of him, of Butch Gilliland, and he was in that second position, then all of a sudden fell about 14 car lengths back. He sort of has stayed there. In fact, he's dropped even further back. There he is. He's 1.9 seconds back now. And Dave Burns, you've got an update?
They're reporting no problems right now, Marty. He is letting the car run wherever it wants to. I just talked with his crew chief, Ron Harridge, and he says he's really letting the car run free. So he may let it drift up a little bit. At this point, he's just conserving tires, and they are not concerned.
This could prove to be very interesting. We talked with him yesterday, and he said, I've got to be patient here. It's really the key. If you burn up your tires, then you've got to make an extra stop. If you really strategize this thing, he was saying that he thought he could go with one full stop and maybe just a little splash.
Well, that's true. So the fuel could be an issue, but also looking at the tire issue, not a lot of banking on this racetrack, and the opportunity exists to really slide these cars. And if you slide them too much, you're going to burn the tires off them. And if you burn the tires off them, you're going to be dead in the water. So you really do have to take care of the car and take care of the tires.
So, does Butch Gilliland know something that everybody else does not? We'll find out as the race continues to unfold. There's Sean Woodside, the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet. He's making his way around Al Edgerly, putting him a lap down as well. Woodside is just cruising in this backup car. There is Austin Cameron in second, and there is Gilliland in third. Let's move back to 4th place, where we pick up Mike Chase and the 92 in 5th spot. That is Ross Thompson. Those two guys running pretty much nose to tail. That's a pretty good battle starting to build up there. Thompson sort of moving his way through this field as he qualified 9th, finds himself up to 5th. There is the battle. Mike Chase last year, this season, his best finish was 2nd place.
And Mike, another driver who really taking a very, calm and measured approach to this race. He's very patient. He'll let the race come to him. He's not in any hurry to get up front. He's not feeling the need to lead this race. He knows the race can come back to him.
And there is Ross Thompson right behind him there from Phoenix, Arizona. Let's get more from Dave Burns.
Speaking of Mike Chase, Marty, and Jeremy's comments regarding what Mike Chase is doing, he knows how to keep the points lead. In fact, at California, the last race, he had to do that for the first time in his career, conserve fuel. They did that, and at the end of the race, he was running at half throttle off the corners and dropping down a gear on the yellow flags. They did that, they were smart, and they finished 5th, and they hung on to the points lead. That's a crafty veteran.
Notice that the black number 26, who is fighting his way back, he's 2 laps down. That is Mike Wallace. He was our pole sitter. He's one of the fastest truck cars, or not the fastest cars on the racetrack right now, and he looks like he's going to go on the outside to get around Thompson.
And what he's got to do is he's got to get by these guys, and about 5 seconds up the road is Sean Woodside. He's got to get up to the front, get by Woodside, and hope for Yellen to get one of those 2 laps back.
Saw a shot of 6th and 7th place there for a moment, the 32 of Eric Norris. There he is. Brandon Ash, who is currently running in the number 23 in 7th spot. He has dropped back from his 5th qualifying position. There is the gap. In fact, he's losing a little bit more ground to Eric Norris. Eric, back in '88, finished 18th here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. His best finish so far this year has been 12th. That was at Las Vegas and at Fontana. Brandon Ash is losing contact with that group that's up in front of him. Now we move back towards the race lead. There is Sean Woodside, Austin Cameron right behind. Cameron's got to feel like he's in a bit of deja vu. Last year it was Kevin Harvick who he was chasing all race long. Right now he's got Sean Woodside.
And these 2 cars, the only cars running in the 128-mile-an-hour range, there they are, 128.1, 128.7. Everyone else in the 127s and 126s. So these 2 really stretching out that lead. Oh,
trouble as we've got the number 3 of Steve Portengay sliding up very close to the wall. Did he make contact? The yellow is out. It will be our first of the day. And it is going to slow everything down here on lap 34. Now, will we see pit stops or will guys stay out? We're going to find out. Looks like he managed to keep the Roto-Rooter car off of the wall.
I don't think he got into the wall. As we were talking about, this racetrack very wide. There's a lot of pavement out there. Here's a replay down into turn 1. Little tap there. A little tap, and he gets it around, but never quite gets up and gets into the wall.
That was Sammy Potashnik in the 65, and I can't tell whether it was Portengay who came down or Potashnik who may have slid up a little bit, but there was a touch, a little bit of contact, just enough to spin him around. But our first caution comes out, and that will tighten up the field. Unfortunately for Mike Wallace, he was not able to get back to this lead group to get one of those 2 laps back. And the reason we want to point this out, you got to remember that back in 1997, Kenny Schrader lost 2 laps in this very same race. He came back to finish second behind Michael Waltrip, which what turned out to be just a fabulous race between those two. Sean Woodside looking for victory number 2 on the 1999 campaign. And right now he's in the driver's seat, literally, as here comes Woodside. And in this series, it's pretty much follow the leader, although I bet you Mike Wallace stays out because that may give him a shot at a little more track position. Amy East is in our leader's pit. Sean Woodside is heading your way, Amy.
You're exactly right. It's follow the leader, and he's here. They go around and change left side tires first. I do not think that they want to make any chassis adjustments. Sean is extremely happy with the car and knows it works in traffic. Dave Burns.
Austin Cameron is a little bit tight. They're going to go to the right side and adjust that with air pressure. Same story for Brandon Ash. Coming off the corners, he pushes a ton, and that's what they're going to try to adjust on the 23 as well.
So now we know why Brandon was backing up. You can't slide around on this racetrack. You mentioned it. The banking's only 10 degrees.
Well, that's true. Now, the only guy that didn't come in up in that lead pack was the number 1 car of Butch Gilliland.
Butch stayed out, which is a bit of a surprise. You would have thought that he might have played follow the leader. It's going to change his serial as far as what he will be able to do. Remember, he had 2 flat tires under green flag racing at Tucson, which came back to really set him back there. But tire wear must be very good on the number 1, as he has stayed out to assume the race lead.
And don't forget, these guys do get points for leading laps and leading most laps, so he will stay out and get those 5 bonus points.
Joe Bean also stayed out. He has moved into second spot, so stay with us. We'll find out if the strategy plays out at Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak off into the distance, 14,110 feet high. Right now, the one guy who is sky high is Butch Gilliland. He stayed out. There is Brandon Ash. Dave, you got a quick update?
Brandon Ash had a real problem on the right rear. No problem with the gun or anything. They just had a bad stop, and that put him way back. Amy East?
Well, for Sean Woodside's team, the viewer at home might think they were a little slow on their stop, but the team seems to feel okay. They're all volunteers. They're learning to work together, and they feel like they're doing a good job so far.
Back to green flag racing. Steve Portengay trying to get his lap back. Gets around Butch Gilliland right now, so the 3 car back on the lead lap at the tail end of it. He's in 17th position. And look, I'm trying to see who that 4th car in there.
I believe that's Mike Wallace.
So Mike Wallace, who stayed out to get the track position, may have paid big dividends. Remember, he is still 2 laps down in 24th, fighting like the dickens to get around Joe Bean, as Bean is currently running in 2nd spot behind the number 1 of Butch Gilliland.
Well, I think Wallace has probably got the car to get by these guys, but he's going to need to get by these 2 leaders and then hope for a yellow. He did stop. He initially stayed out, but on the 2nd lap, because he was a lap car, he couldn't come in. So he came in on the 2nd lap once the lap cars were allowed to come in. So he is on fresh rubber.
One of the cars that stayed out, or actually came in and pitted and did very well, was the number 20 of Brendan Gaughan. Got to give them the tip of the hat as we look at Mike Wallace now back up on the 1 lap down. Let's get an update on Mike Wallace, Dave Burns.
Marty Jeremy was right. They did come in. They changed 4 tires. They added fuel and no changes to the 26. And the way he goes around Steve Portengay right now, I'd say they like the handling on that engine wear Ford.
So both the 3 and the 26 have got a little wiggle there from Mike Wallace in the 26. They are picked up a lap if they can maintain that position. Portengay is on the lead lap at the very tail end. The 26 now still 1 lap down, and you're right, he needs another yellow, and we'll probably get it. Remember last year here with a 200-lap event, there were 9 yellows. We've got 150 laps here. We've had 1 already today. Look out, Mr. Portengay. You may be a lap down again. Butch Gilliland, our race leader in the number 1 Ralph's Food for Less Ford, is going to put you 1 down again. So Portengay has got to be sort of saying, darn.
Now the 1 car is one of 3 cars that did not come in on that first yellow flag. So he stayed out, has not got fresh tires, but that car running quite well. Actually right now, 129 mile-an-hour average. So really that's picked up from before that yellow flag. Seems to have found some speed in that car.
Well, Gilliland in 1997 here at PPIR led 13 laps on his way to a 3rd place finish behind Mike Waltrip and Kenny Schrader. He is putting some distance between he and the number 3 of Steve Portengay. So Portengay is in some trouble about getting that lap down. He is in 17th spot. Right now, the lead for Gilliland over 2nd place Joe Bean is 1.17 seconds. Sammy Potashnik is in 3rd. He's 2 seconds back. Then Russ Thompson is in 4th, and Brendan Gaughan is in 5th.
And there you see 6th through 10th. Cameron and Woodside back there. Remember, they did stop. And we'll keep an eye on those guys. Joe
Bean there in the number 77, coming back from a serious crash, as he had a real bad wreck in a Busch Series race, broke 3 ribs, fractured his leg, took over a year for him to come back from that injury. It's good to see him back in a race car. He's got 1 career Winston West victory, and the number 77 right now doing a fine job. Right behind him, of course, is the number 66 of Billy Turner. He's from El Reno, Oklahoma. And Dave, an interesting story on that number 66.
You know, Marty, so often sponsors turn tail and run from their drivers in their teams, but Billy Turner and his sponsor, Profab, and 13 associates pulled their names off of his car in order to put a Feed the Children toll-free number on there. Now, that's for the folks that were hurt by the tornadoes in Oklahoma and Kansas, and Billy Turner is from El Reno, Oklahoma. So kind of a nice change of events, a sponsor that voluntarily pulled themselves off the car for a good cause.
So hopefully you'll see the 800 number there on the rear quarter panel, and the donations will pour on in. Back to the race leader. Butch Gilliland is well out in front right now by a 1.5 seconds over the 77 of Joe Bean. Stay with us. We haven't even hit the halfway mark here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Along with Jeremy Dale, I'm Marty Reed. We got a battle for the lead. Joe Bean in the 77 alongside the number 1 of Butch Gilliland, and that is for 1st place, and they are clicking off some speeds. But Gilliland, the last few laps, these guys have been reeling them in.
Well, he didn't go in and change tires, and a lot of these guys are on fresh rubber, and you just can't. You can only work so much magic. And so he's now coming under threat.
But Joe Bean stayed out as well. So Bean right now has obviously a little more grip than the number 1 of Butch Gilliland, and he is pulling away from Butch. Again, Butch may be playing that patience game. He's maybe saying that the speeds are getting up a little too fast right now. Well, too much.
Let's see what happens when that 12 car gets through this pack and can start working on Joe Bean.
Well,
and here comes the 12 car. So the 12 car has come by Butch Gilliland.
And Butch has got traffic right behind him in the number 20. That's Brendan Gaughan. He's running in 5th spot right now. There's the 92 of Russ Thompson, who is in 4th. He's trying to get around the number 1 as well. That 83 vehicle, that's Rick Bogert. He is lap traffic. There is your race leader, Joe Bean. And there is Butch Gilliland, and Sean Woodside is now gone around him. Is there a problem with the number 1, Dave Burns?
Well, we're going to go to the source, Ron Harridge. And Ron, earlier you were just kind of running your race. You stayed out, didn't take on tires. Is there some strategy here?
Well, we want to keep our stickers for the end of the race, so we have some good tires to go back on. A lot of these teams are taking their tires early. We only get 16 tires, so we're just trying to save our tires It's a long race. We got a lot of laps left. So let them run hard if they want to. We'll reel them in at the end.
All right, sounds like a real patient group here in the one pit, guys.
Well, that number 20 car, Brendan Gaughan, is right beside him there. They took 2 right sides only on that last stop. Now let's go back up to the lead, because look at Austin Cameron side by side. It looks like he's going to take it from Joe Bean. And he does.
Well, nothing like fresh tires. But you really have to agree with that strategy. At what point in the race would you rather be quick? Would you rather be fast now, or would you rather be fast at the end when you really need it?
Well, that's what's great about the tire limitation rule. There is Mike Chase and Thompson in the 92, Chase in the 18, side by side. We come back. Whoa! And he wants Bogert to get out of the way, and gives him a little nudge from behind. Bogert has not surrendered. Remember, he has lapped traffic, but he's also creating a problem for Chase as well.
Absolutely. Now, the tire rule is a great rule. You get 16 tires. You can use those tires any way you want. Pretty much going to go through one set during practice. You start with a sticker set to qualify, and then into the race. Now you have to really manage those tires, and that's a big part of the strategy. You have to manage the tires so that you end up with good tires at the end of the race when you really need them.
That battle there, those 3 cars, the 18, the 16, the 92, that is all for position. And there goes Woodside around Thompson. So that is going to move Woodside up into 4th if he can hold it through turns 3 and 4. And Chase is his next target, the current points leader, right in front of him there in the 18. Chase holds on to 3rd. He gets around Bogert, and so does Woodside. And does Thompson. Thompson currently running in 5th spot from Phoenix, Arizona. Dave, you got more?
Well, they came in and changed 2 tires only, Dave. No adjustments on him. And I just got done talking with Leon Ruther, the crew chief, and said, is everything else all right? And he said, yeah, if we can just get the lap cars out of the way.
Well, his best finish in 1999 so far has been 10th back at Fontana. This is the first time he's ever raced at Phoenix, or at Pikes Peak International Raceway. 5 leaders already today. We're working lap number 67. Mike Wallace, Sean Woodside, Butch Gilliland, Joe Bean, and Austin Cameron have all led this race and picked up the 5 bonus points. There is Joe Bean in the 77. He's under attack now from Sean Woodside and Mike Chase, and that is for 2nd spot. And there's Thompson right with him. We got a great battle at the front of this racetrack.
It is a great race, and a lot of that is this racetrack. Look at these guys running side by side. This racetrack lets them do that.
Austin Cameron has moved out to about a 2-second lead over 2nd place, but this is a great battle going on. Bean's trying to hold on for dear life. Remember, he's got 67 laps now on those tires. Everybody else around him has at least 2 fresh tires, and most of them have 4. Chase is underneath him in the 18. He's going to take the spot, so move Mike Chase into 2nd. Meanwhile, look at Thompson getting underneath Woodside, so he's going to take 4th away from Woodside. Down into turn number 3. Bean sort of holding up Woodside now. This is going to get a little tricky. Woodside trying the high line. Uh-oh, 3 abreast. Here we go. Hold your breath. Oh, Joe Bean says, I don't like this.
Well, when you've got those worn tires on the car, you can't always put it exactly where you want it. So to have the confidence to run down there into turn 1, 3 wide, it's tough to have that confidence on worn out tires,
especially when you're the sandwich, or you're the meat in that sandwich, I should say. Look at these 2 still going after it, though. After they have shuffled poor Joe Bean back to 4th, Chase and Thompson, Woodside, those guys are going really well, and that man is going very well. He's got a 2.5-second lead. That's Austin Cameron. He's out front here at the King Soopers 150. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, we are under our 2nd caution flag of the day. We've got debris on the racetrack. Austin Cameron had moved out to about a 4-second lead, but that's going to go all for naught. one of the other stories that we're going to have to follow is we're going to see some pit stops here. Remember, the number 1 of Butch Gilliland, the 77 of Joe Bean, and Sammy Potashnik, the 65, did not stop on the first yellow, and they were about to run out of fuel, Jeremy.
Well, this yellow could not have come at a better time for those 3 cars, but because, as you said, they were getting very, very close on their fuel window. So as soon as the pits open, we will certainly see those 3 cars in, and we may see more cars in. It really depends on strategy in terms of tires and fuel. You'd have to wonder about the guys that stopped the first time coming in again. But certainly those 3 cars, it will be time for those guys to stop and fill up.
To point out one other thing, Steve Portengay, remember, he was a lap down. Well, he was able to get his lap back right before he crossed the yellow flag. So he is now the 17th and final car on the lead lap. Also, as we see pit stops now happening, let's update the 26. Remember, Mike Wallace, our pole sitter, was 2 laps down. He's now only 1 lap down.
Now, very interesting. Look at all these cars coming onto pit road. The 12 car did not come on. Our leader did not come down pit road.
So our race leader stays out. Let's go down to Amy East.
Sean Woodside's in. They go around and start changing the left side tires, get some fuel, and hey, let's remember, these are volunteers, so they're doing the best they can. In the meantime, the 32 of Eric Norris is doing the same, taking on left side tires. He's going to make a chassis adjustment as they get to the right side. That's Stacy Compton's truck crew down there doing a great job. Dave Byrne.
Butch Gilliland has his own crew going to the number 1 car. They're going to change 4 tires, add fuel, and no adjustments. They were close on their fuel, but they were not worried, so it wasn't quite as bad as we might have made it out to be, but they'll definitely take the fuel now as they go to the left side of the car.
Well, they will tell you they're not worried. There's the 77 Joe Bean.
Sammy Potashnik now moving back out. Remember, he was another one who, this is his first pit stop as well as Bean and Butch Gilliland. So they may surrender a little bit of track position right now, but they have made 1 stop and now know what their fuel window can be. Butch Gilliland finally away.
Now, probably the most interesting thing is that Cameron did not stop.
And wait a minute, they're holding Butch Gilliland and Brandon Ash at the exit to pit lane, waiting for the rest of the field to go by. Mike Wallace is in. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Still with an idea that they can win this thing. They're going to change 4 more tires on Mike Wallace's number 26. They're going to put fuel in, and they're going to make no adjustments. The thing is still fast. He just has to get a lap back now.
Remember, this is the Team ASC Ford crew that takes care of him in the Craftsman Truck Series, owned by Jimmy Smith. The race car is as well. And he is back out and away, and I don't doubt it. I think this guy's going to be a player before this race is over, the way he is running. Meanwhile, take a look at our leader, Austin Cameron. And now we're wondering, why didn't he stop that time? Does it go back to what you were talking about later? You want those fresh tires late?
Well, I think that's true, but the only problem there is that now he's seriously out of touch on pit stop sequences with all these other cars. And I just want to go back to the 1 car of Butch Gilliland. If those guys had been forced, here's the 23 car still in the pit lane, if those guys had been forced to make a green flag stop to put fuel and tires on that car, they would have been in big, big trouble. So Cameron is taking that chance. He's taking the chance that he's not going to get a yellow to stop and top up the fuel, put on the new tires.
So there is Austin Cameron. And let's go down and find out from the guy who calls the shots. Dave Burns, you're with him?
I am, and Dave Riggs will tell us what the strategy is all about. Austin stays out this time. He retains the lead, but you're going to have to come in later.
Yeah, we're planning on a caution here around lap 20. We're going to go for 4 tires and fuel and go the distance.
As in lap 120? Yeah, okay. All right, and that is the last stop you plan to make then, Dave?
Yeah, that's correct. We're going to go the whole distance after that. Car's running really good, so we hope that'll do it.
All right, and how are you planning on a caution? I mean, what if it doesn't come?
I didn't hear you.
What if the caution doesn't come, Dave?
Well, we'll pass that bridge when it comes to it, but we're going to have to come in around lap 120.
There you go. The glass is half full here in the 12 pits, guys.
Well, I gotta love, we're planning on a caution. I mean,
if it comes, he's going to be hired by everybody in the world of auto racing as a clairvoyant. But if it doesn't come, it could be very costly for Austin Cameron. And that was one of the things he was talking about, is we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. He said, so far this year, we've run well, but the drivers made some decisions out on the racetrack that haven't been too good. We've made some mistakes along the way in the pits. Well, we'll find out if this has been a great piece of strategy or a real mistake. We're back to green flag racing. Heading down into turn number 3, Austin Cameron. That is Bill Sedgwick side by side with him. Sedgwick right now is a lap vehicle. In fact, they're showing him at the very tail end of the lead lap after last time by. And there is Mike Wallace trying to get his lap back as well.
Marty, the most interesting thing about this is Mike Wallace tries to get back on the lead lap here is that one car, Butch Gilliland. He isn't shown a lap down. We saw him being held at the end of pit road. We don't know why. We're going to have to find out why Butch Gilliland has gone a lap down.
I think what happened was they took a little too much time on that stop, and he ended up behind the pace truck and did not make it back out. Now, let's point out Mike Wallace, as he has gotten back on the lead lap. Remember, we told you that he was 2 laps down. Take a look at this serial as he is currently running in 16th position now, as they show the electronic scoring right in front of us. So Mike no longer 1 lap down. Look at how fast he is pulling away from the rest of this field. Now Gilliland has gotten his lap back as well.
And Gilliland will have to work hard. It doesn't look like Mike Wallace is having to work as hard to get these laps back and to stay on the lead lap. Gilliland is going to have to do the same thing. Shouldn't be a big deal because Cameron is not on fresh tires. Gilliland is on fresh rubber.
I've got this feeling in my stomach that Mike Wallace is going to be a factor in this race before it is over. He is back on the lead lap. Look at these guys going after each other. The 20, there's Brendan Gaughan. He is currently running in 3rd position. Right there is Eric Norris, who has gotten by him for those positions. That's going to bump him back to 4th. Sedgwick is also a lap down here, so he is not in that mix, except other than to be in the way of those two trying to go after each other. What happened to Eric Norris? He had a great pit stop as he has moved around Brendan Gaughan. Let's set it for you right now. The 3 of Steve Portengay has moved back into 2nd spot behind Austin Cameron. Remember Portengay? He was a lap down at one point. We got some great racing at Pikes Peak. Don't go away. We're approaching the 2/3 mark of the King Soopers 150, and we have our 3rd yellow of the day, and Austin Cameron is coming into the pits, and he is going to get some fresh tires, and boy, does he need them. Let's go to Dave Burns.
The leader, Austin Cameron, looking for a win this year. He doesn't have it yet. He's going to get 4 tires and fuel, no adjustments on his car. Now, this is going to be just great with their window, guys. Tires are lasting about 60 laps here. That was Butch Gilliland's problem earlier. He was all out of tires, and this is going to be just about right to go to the end for Austin Cameron.
Brendan Gaughan also stopped again. Gaughan only taking right side tires on the number 20. There's the reason we had the caution. The number 19 of Billy Kahn spun it around in turn number 2, did not make contact with the wall, but was there long enough that officials had to bring out the yellow flag. And there goes Austin Cameron back out onto the racetrack. Let's go back and take a look and see what happened to Billy.
This is turn 2 between 1 and 2, and he just loses it all by himself. And I hate to break it to you, Marty, but he just tapped the wall. But it doesn't look like anyone got into him. It looks like he just lost the back of the car in between 1 and 2.
Well, the Team Texas Chevrolet is back out onto the racetrack. The 23 is in a Brandon Ash, Dave Burns.
Marty, he runs 18th right now. He was in the lead hunt earlier, but he is a lap off the pace. They're just going to give him a 2-tire change and send him back on his way.
Well, while work continues on Brandon Ash's, boy, they're having trouble with that right rear. It's taken a long time to get that one done. He's finally down and away. The race lead has been assumed by Eric Norris. Now, Eric's best finish so far this year has been 12th at Las Vegas and Fontana. Started 8th today. He's 10th in the points, and it looks like we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing.
Now, there are 8 cars that were on that lead lap that did not pit. Look at Sean Woodside.
And Woodside passes on the right side, which is the side you have to pass on, but did he jump the green flag? This is going to be an interesting call. from NASCAR officials because, boy, he was on the hammer strong. He gets around Norris and takes over the race lead. Race control has confirmed it was a good start. That was Mike Chase. He is in third in the 18. Moving up to fourth is a number that we have not called out once today, Bobby Dotter in the 56. So their strategy has paid off through some two-tire changes. He is in fourth right now.
Well, as we said, there were 8 cars that did not stop during that caution. These are the cars that have now got less fuel. They have worn tires. They are going to need to stop again. Everyone behind them is ready to go to the finish.
Bring you up to date while you're watching Sean Woodside and Eric Norris going after each other. Remember Mike Wallace being 2 laps down? He is now in 7th position. And he is only, make that 6th. He is 1.6 seconds behind. The 26 is on the move.
And he is one of those cars that did not stop, so he will need to stop again.
Some of the lap vehicles in this mix. There's Steve Portengay, the number 3. He is currently running in 15th.
Now let's just talk about something for a moment. These cars, Sean Woodside, the first 8 cars, they did not stop on this last yellow, but they did stop on lap 78. We think they could probably make it on fuel, but they're going to be in serious tire trouble. But if they can stretch a lead, and that's probably what Woodside is trying to do right now. While he's got open, clean racetrack, he's probably trying to stretch a bit of a lead.
There is the 20 of Brendan Gaughan. He took 2 tires. He's back in 12th spot right now. Gaughan a little bit boxed there by the 05.
And this is what's going on further in the pack. And I was talking about how Sean Woodside and some of the other guys up front are trying to stretch out a lead because it's possible they can go the distance on fuel.
Now there is Austin Cameron. He has worked his way back. The number 12, he is currently running in 14th position. That makes it 12th now as he's come this time by. There is Butch Gilliland, and right now he is in 7th position, but it looks like he's fallen off. And there is Mike Wallace. You want to know where he is? He's up to 5th.
But I got to tell you, Sean Woodside just ran a lap at over 130 miles an hour, just did it again. So Sean Woodside is running the wheels off that car, and I think he is trying to get a big lead, hoping that this thing is going to go green to the end.
Well, but you still got to manage your tires over these remaining 43 laps. Mike Wallace knows better than anyone with all his years of experience. Craftsman Truck Series veteran right now. There is Sean Woodside looking for his 2nd victory of the season as well. Eric Norris is only a half second behind him in 2nd place. Mike Chase is 1.8 seconds back in 3rd. And who got the fastest lap last time?
That'd be Mike Wallace, 131 miles an hour.
So the crew must have told him, saying, hey, Woodside's smoking you a little bit, and he stepped up the pace a little bit more. This is going to get interesting before this race is over. It's interesting right now. Look at Eric Norris. This would be his best run ever if he could pull this victory off, get around Sean Woodside. They have managed this race car very well today.
Mike Wallace up into 3rd position. So Mike Wallace now, he will try and bridge that gap up to those first 2 cars and get up front. Not quite as quick that last lap, 130.3 miles an hour. There it is. But he was up at 131 miles an hour on the previous lap.
If you are just tuning in, that 26 of Mike Wallace started on the pole. He immediately went 2 laps down after having a problem at the very start of the race. He has come back and now finds himself 3rd. And Tim Cahuth is his crew chief, and he's with our Dave Burns.
Tim, you guys have bounced back now from 2 laps down. We know that you got a fast car. Can you go to the end? When did you pit?
Yeah, we pitted at lap 77. We'll be close on fuel, but we had a couple cautions there, and we should be all right if we just get up here to the front a little bit. We take the lead, and we'll just tell them to cool down a little bit. We should be good.
All right, they say they can stay to the very end, guys.
Tires and fuel.
Well, their big thing is no yellow flags. They want green flag racing all the way to the end. That is what's critical for these guys that did not stop.
There is the battle up front. Sean Woodside in front of the 32 of Eric Norris, but Mike Wallace is closing here at Pikes Peak International Raceway at the King Soopers 150. Soopers 150 at Pikes Peak International Raceway. I'm Marty Reed along with Jeremy Dale, Amy East, Dave Burns, patrolling pit lane. And if you have not been with us, you have missed one heck of a race, but you've at least tuned in for the best part. Look at the 26 of Mike Wallace. From 2 laps down, he is right on the back doorstep of the number 16, our race leader, Sean Woodside. We are working lap number 119 of 150 on this 1 mile oval.
And Wallace and crew have done just a phenomenal job to get this car to the front. They think they can go all the way on fuel. There is Woodside running a little higher than Wallace. Can't keep that car down the bottom. Maybe doesn't like it down on the bottom. And actually, Woodside has really responded quite well here. Mike Wallace had been cutting through this field like a knife through butter until he got to this point. He's clearly a little bit quicker, but it's not going to be as easy getting by Woodside.
You can see the interval changes there from the 4 laps between lap 113 and 117. And Mike Wallace definitely has the fastest car on the racetrack, but you're right now he wants to make sure he doesn't make anything a bad move here, and Woodside's doing a great job of defending his position. Wallace goes high this time. That's not going to work. Maybe he's going to get the long run going back down the straightaway. Remember, this is really the only straightaway here on this D-shaped oval, because once you enter turn 3 there, and take a look at the speeds. Now, they were up over 131 miles an hour. They last pitted at lap 78, side by side. Who's going to have the lead into turn number 1? The tires are definitely starting to go away on both cars. They're sliding a little. It looks like Woodside's going to be able to hold on to it, but here comes Mike Wallace right back at him. It's a drag race down the backstretch. Into turn 3, the nose of the car, the 26, the engine wear Ford. Mike Wallace has got the spot, but he's got to hold on to it through turn 4. And he's got the position, finally closes the door.
And that's as hard as anyone has raced Mike Wallace all day, side by side through 1 and 2, side by side through 3 and 4.
And Sean Woodside right now may be scratching his head saying, wow, what do I do now? Amy East, you got any information on an update from Sean Woodside's camp?
As much as I can get from crew chief Chris Diedrich is that Sean's happy with the car. They know they have a bit of a tire strategy going with, almost 25 laps left in this race. He wants to stay as close to Wallace as possible, but as you can see, he has dropped back a little bit, so they're happy. They're a regular series contender here, and they want a top 10 finish, but they still want that win too, so we'll just have to see.
Woodside told us yesterday, hey, I want to race against a Mike Wallace. I want a Jerry Nadeau coming down here, a Ricky Craven, the 2 other Winston Cup drivers who have won prior here this year on the Winston West Tour. It allows me to gauge myself and allows people to see just how good a driver I am. He's doing pretty good.
Doing a great job.
Right now, he is almost a second behind Mike Wallace. We are working lap number 125, so next time by, there'll be 25 to go. In 3rd place, it's a 30. Oh, and Butch Gilliland's got smoke coming out of the Ralph's Food for Less Ford, and that's going to bring out a yellow. The one thing Mike Wallace did not want to see.
Now, this is bad news for Mike Wallace and all those guys that didn't stop on that last yellow. These tires they've got have got a lot of wear on them now.
The crew, that dejected look, and into pit lane comes the number 1. So Butch Gilliland, who had put himself, he was up to 4th on this last serial, but it's going to go for naught as the number 1 is going to pull behind the wall.
And it looks like Butch's day is definitely done. You can see out of turn 2, that motor, boy, there was some kind of part there fell off that car. I couldn't see what it was, but something fell out from underneath that car.
His best finish was 6th at Fontana, and it's not going to be any better here today, dropping out here with about 25 laps to go. He has won 11 times, but it's not going to happen today here on the Winston West Tour. So that's going to do it for the 1997 champion in this series, but we've got a lot more racing yet to come from the King Soopers 150. Under our 4th yellow of the day at the King Soopers 150 at Pikes Peak International Raceway. The lights are out on the pace truck, though. We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. The reason we're under yellow, Butch Gilliland, who had a good run going, watched the puff of smoke, And Jeremy, there was a piece coming up right there.
Well, that looks to me like an oil pump belt, and that looks like oil smoke, so I wouldn't be surprised if that thing threw a belt.
Dave is with Butch Gilliland.
And they're going to go to work under the car. Butch, what did happen?
Well, either the engine broke or the transmission started vibrating real bad and locked up. Has shut it off and pulled it back here in the garage. We'll try and get the Ralphs and Food for Less and King Soopers car back fixed and get back on there, because we need the points. You know, we moved up to third there. We still got 4 sticker tires left, and it's just a shame this happened, but we'll come back.
All right, I know they will, guys.
Back to green flag racing on lap number 130 on our 4th caution, and Mike Wallace gets a great jump over Sean Woodside.
And we've got a car coming out of the pit lane here. It's a lap car, hopefully not going to get in the way of Mike Wallace going down into 3 car.
That's Rick Bogert. He does not create a problem for anybody up front right now, and he'll keep it down on the low side. 3 abreast further back. That's Joe Bean. Jerry Glanville in the 81 is in that as well. Be careful, guys.
Well, not the first time today we've seen 3 cars side by side here at Pikes Peak.
In 1 lap, Mike Wallace, despite those used tires that have 50 laps on them, he's got an 0.8 of a second lead over Sean Woodside. 3rd place right now is Eric Norris. 4th is Mike Chase, and the number 12 of Austin Cameron is 2.1 seconds behind the race leader. There is Jerry Glanville, the coach.
And the guys you really have to watch out for are the 18 car of Chase and the 12 of Cameron, because those guys have fresher tires than the guys up front. Those are the guys we have to keep our eyes on.
By about 21 total laps, if my memory serves me correctly. There is the margin between 2nd and 3rd. That's Woodside and Chuck Norris running about the same speeds. Did I say Chuck? That's Dad.
You said Chuck Norris.
It's Eric. Eric's son. Chuck is the TV star. Chuck, we got you doing everything now. Like Eric is closing in on Woodside. So Eric looking for his best run of 1999. In fact, anything better than 5th would be a career best in the Winston West for the 32.
And he is well positioned to do that now. And they had some problems earlier on the pit stop, but they seem to have been able to bounce back from that.
Moving back towards the battle for 10th place, involving the number 20 of Brendan Gaughan. Right in front of him in 9th is the 77 of Joe Bean. That is 7th place, Steve Portengay. There is the battle. It looks like Bean is starting to pull away from Gaughan a little bit, at least down the backstretch, and then through the corner, it looks like Gaughan reels him in a little. For an update on the 77, let's go down to Dave Burns.
Marty, Joe was about the last car on the lead lap at that restart, and he is flying. The crew took a great gamble. Listen to this, 5 rounds of bike out. He was that tight, and it appears to really be working for Joe Bean.
5? Wouldn't something fall off after 4?
Well, that's a very bold move, I'll say that. Well, you know, desperate people do desperate things, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and it seems to be working right now.
Brendan Gaughan is caught back up to Joe Bean, however, for this battle for 9th position. They are 6.5 seconds behind the race lead. While you're watching this, we can tell you that that margin is 1.2 seconds, and they're still running. In fact, they're running speeds in the 130 mile an hour range, both the 26 and the number 12. So while this battle has sort of settled down for 9th position, let's go back to 2nd place, where Eric Norris has lost a little bit of ground to Sean Woodside. Woodside in the 16. Amy's got an update on Eric Norris.
Jeremy and Marty, you might find this very interesting after Dave's update. Norris, in a combination of 2 pit stops, has taken 5 turns in. He's taken 5 turns in. Gutsy move, but it's obviously working for him, and it made it easy for him to bounce back from that slow pit stop earlier on.
Well, as we see Cameron here rolling up behind Norris, you know, what that says to me is that this racetrack must have changed from yesterday. If all these guys are making such big changes. Look at Cameron here. Right now, Cameron, the fastest car on the racetrack, over 130 miles an hour, that last lap, and right now sits only 2.2 seconds behind the leader, Mike Wallace. So what he wants to do now is get by these guys. And I think Cameron is the best shot in terms of someone challenging for the lead. It is got to be Austin Cameron.
Well, remember, Cameron has tires that are 21 laps fresher than everybody in front of him, including our leader, Mike Wallace, Sean Woodside, and the man he's got in his gun sights right now, the 32 of Eric Norris. Let's check it at the line. And so far, the fastest this time by, it looks like it's going to be Mike Wallace, our race leader.
Well, I think Cameron here is being held up a little bit by Norris. He was able to close that gap down pretty easily. I think he has to be aggressive now and get around him and get up front.
You're right. Wallace ran at 129 and Cameron was at 127.7. So he did get held up a little bit there. Let's do it at the line again, see who it is. It looks like it's still going to remain Mike Wallace. He's the quickest.
Well, of course, Mike Wallace has not a whole lot out in front of him, and that's his real advantage right now.
Well, we've got to take one more break, but when we come back, we'll head for the finish and find out, can Mike Wallace pull it off? Come from 2 laps down to win the King Soopers 150. You're looking at our race leader here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. That is Mike Wallace. Don't worry about the 23 behind him. Brandon Ash is a lap down. The guy you got to watch out for is that 16 there in the Napa Chevrolet, and those two right there. That's Eric Norris in the 32, Austin Cameron in the 12. That's the battle for third right now. As the laps are winding down, we're working number 143 of 150. And Norris is holding that 32 car as low as he can.
Norris doing a great job. Look at Cameron almost up into the wall, coming off 2. He really now is putting the pressure on, really needs to get by. Look at this, got a nose under him in 3, coming out of 4, and that's the move.
So he has taken over third position, Austin Cameron, with his tires 21 laps fresher than the cars that he is chasing down, and Sean Woodside is his next target. He is 2.9 seconds behind race leader Mike Wallace, and we have 7 laps to go. Eric Norris may have surrendered position, but this would still be a career best finish for him in the series if he holds on to this 4th. His best finish ever was 5th at Sonoma, and that was last year in 1998. Cameron's starting to pull away from him.
And Cameron, 129 miles an hour on that last lap. So that pace has picked up considerably. Wallace, 128.5 miles an hour on his last lap. But don't forget, he still has to get by Woodside. And Woodside is running very well.
Well, Wallace just crossed the finish line. Here comes Woodside over the stripe. And here comes Austin Cameron close behind Woodside. They're down into 2. He is going to get Woodside. There's no doubt about it. He has got the quicker car right now. The question is, will he have enough laps to reel in the race leader? Austin Cameron, whose team kept him out, took a big gamble saying, yeah, we expect another yellow. They did get it. And they have 21 laps fresher tires. And let's get an update from Dave Burns.
I just spoke with Dave Briggs, the crew chief, and they are driving that car at 100%. Austin can't get anything more out of it, and Dave just kind of shook his head and said, I don't think we have anything more for him.
Well, they may get second spot, but we're 4 laps to go here, Dave, and Austin's got his hands full with Sean Woodside. He has got that 16 car, the Napa Chevrolet, glued to the bottom of the racetrack. Heading down into turn 1, look at how low unless he pushes up, it's going to force Cameron to try the high side, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
That is where he's going, side by side through turn 2.
Man, that's a gutsy move.
It is a gutsy move, and he's going to pull it off.
That's over 128 miles an hour lap average, folks. He's up to second. We've got 3 laps to go. The race leader is crossing the finish stripe right now. Here comes second and third. So that gives you an idea. It's 1.48 seconds with 2 laps to go. There is lap traffic in front of our race leader, though, Mike Wallace. Brandon Ash is right in front of Wallace down the backstretch as Cameron's closing.
Ash was behind him, and Ash went by him to get back on the lead lap. 1.48 was the margin last time by. going to be very difficult to do, but not impossible.
White flag is out. I think if we talk to Mike Wallace in victory lane, he's going to say, I have nothing left on these tires. Brandon Ash is right in front of him, and Wallace can't get back by him. And here comes Austin Cameron down the back straightaway, about the same distance between the gap that you see from 23 to the 26. Into turns 3 and 4. I don't think Cameron's going to have enough time to do it. Out of turn 4. The summit today at Pikes Peak will be scaled by Mike Wallace as he takes the checkered flag to win his second Winston West race. There was Austin Cameron, and I think another lap, maybe 2 at max. We would have had a shootout right to the flag.
Well, great race. Cameron had those tires. We knew he had them, and it was just a matter of getting through traffic. But a great job by Mike Wallace and crew to get that car back on the lead lap and come through and win this race.
Congratulations shared between the two guys that finished first and second, and what a tribute to Tim Cahoof and the Team ASE team that they brought this car from 2 laps down. Team owner is Jimmy Smith, and he's with our Amy East.
You've got to be excited. This Ultra Wheels team did an awesome job today, and this is your second Winston West victory of the year. Congratulations.
2 out of 3 isn't bad, and we finished 4th at Fontana, and it seems like, I don't know what it is, we got to give these guys a couple laps advantage, but I'll tell you, this pit team and strategy has just been phenomenal, and I can't say enough about our driver. He's the best.
We wish you a lot of luck in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as well. And I know the Winston West guys, well, they might not want to see you at a lot of races this year.
I'm sure they don't, but, you know, it's good experience for our team, and we have fun racing with these guys. And, you know, I know how the Busch guys feel when the Winston Cup guys show up there. So, but we got a great team, and we're just trying to get better, and this helps us do that.
Well, Jimmy Smith is very excited for his team. Marty and Jeremy?
One of the things they're using this for is they have plans to take a few stabs at Winston Cup later this year as Mike Wallace climbs out right at the finish line and salutes the crowd, and he has deserved this accolade. What a great run for Mike Wallace here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Stand by, stay with us, because when we come back, we'll talk to our race winner in victory lane.
The King Soopers 150 has been won by Mike Wallace, and it was the definition of a roller coaster ride. What were you thinking on lap 2, I think it was, when you had no throttle?
Well, you know, I just got to take my hat off to the whole entire Ultra Motorsports team. It shows how good these guys really are. I went down to turn 3, hit the gas, and there was no throttle. The throttle bolt broke or fell off or something like that. Fortunately, it happened there. That was probably the savior, because I was able to turn down pit road right away, you know. And the guys we only lost 2 laps. Good job, Timmy. You know, 2 laps under green. We're able to make both of them up. And, you know, they made us work for it today. It's definitely for sure. But the guys did a great job. Our engine wear sponsor, Team ASE, they just can't say enough for them. And, you know, we would like to take a minute. We're out here in Colorado for 2 things, and like to pay some tribute to the folks from Columbine University. And you know, our good buddy Rick Corelli's hurt right now, but hopefully he'll get back shortly. And but other than that, you know, it was a real great day for the Ultra Motorsports team. Just thrilled to death to win this thing.
And this win is good medicine for all, guys.
Congratulations to Mike Wallace, his second win here on Winston West competition. There are the top 15 as pick out your favorite driver. It's going to hurt the number 1 as you get to the second page, as he had a great run going, but unfortunately Butch Gilliland is not going to have the result to show for it as he ends up 27th. And Jerry Glanville, the coach, in 18th spot. Final comments there, Jeremy?
Well, a fantastic race by these Winston West guys. Very clean race, lots of great racing. And you saw Mike Wallace give Sean Woodside a real hearty handshake down there in victory lane. He enjoys racing with these guys.
Take a look at the points. The $10,000 bonus after round number 5 is going to go to Mike Chase by 23 over Sean Woodside. Ash, Cameron, Portengate round out your top 5 in the NASCAR Winston West Series after 5 of 14 races. For Jeremy Dale and Amy East and Dave Burns, I'm Marty Reed. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate it. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Go.com.